This video will demonstrate the process of connecting MultiRAE and AreaRAE meters to the ProRAE Guardian remote monitoring system. First, let's identify the components of the system and where they are stored. All the equipment needed to place this system into service is located on Hazmat 2. In the rear passenger side shelf, you will see our MultiRAE Pro CGI and ammonia meters. Below them are three RAE link units. Units 1 and 2 are set up in the remote configuration. Unit 3 is set up as a host. In the large Pelican case are the 4 AreaRAE meters, as well as RAE link Unit 4, which is set up as a repeater. We'll explain those terms in a minute. The final component is the laptop containing the ProRAE Guardian software. The system can function with just the AreaRAEs, just the MultiRAEs, or a combination of both. We will go over all three situations. Regardless of what meters you use, don't allow any equipment to be distributed until the entire system is up and running. Additionally, always start at the meters and work your way back to the laptop. Let's set up the AreaRAEs first. We'll start by attaching the antennas and weather stations to the AreaRAE meters. Be very careful when installing the weather station. The pins are delicate and only fit one way. Additionally, only spin the very bottom of the neck. Spinning the entire weather station will break it. Attach all antennas and weather stations before turning on the meters. Once you turn on the meters, let them perform their entire startup procedure before moving on. The signal from the meters is transmitted back to the computer with a transmitter called a remote. The AreaRAE meters have a built-in remote, so no additional equipment is required. Now that the meters are running properly, we will set up the host. The host is connected to the laptop and receives the signal from the remotes in the field. Start by attaching the antenna to the host. Then attach the communications cable to both the host and the laptop. On this laptop, the correct USB port is labeled with green tape. Once connected, power on the host and let it complete its entire startup procedure. Now we can power on the laptop. Open the ProRAE Guardian software. Once open, click the Data Sources tab at the top left of the screen. When the pop-up menu opens, click the Stop button if it is displayed. If when you open the window it displays a Start button, then that step was performed during a prior use. Click the View button. This will show you which system components the computer will look for. Make sure you have numbers 1 through 14 selected. The AreaRAE units are numbers 11, 12, 13, and 14. Once that is done, go back to the original pop-up window. Next, make sure that the correct communications port is selected. On this laptop, you must have port 4 selected. Then, click the Start button. The meter should populate in the lower part of the screen. This process could take up to a minute. If we were using a MultiRAE, the setup procedure follows the same path. The difference this time is we need to power up a RAE link programmed as a remote. This goes downrange with the MultiRAE and will take the data from the MultiRAE and transmit it back to the host. If we are using a combination of MultiRAE and AreaRAE meters, then we can set up the entire system simultaneously. Start with the meters, then if required, set up one or both of the RAE-Link remotes. If we're anticipating going farther than the transmission range, or we anticipate obstructions blocking our signal, you would then set up a RAE-Link repeater to place inline and complete the signal chain. Then you would set up the RAE-Link host, and finally the laptop and ProRAE software. Okay, now that the system is up and running, let's see what we're working with. Up top you can see the Google map, which you can manipulate. This map will show the GPS location of the meters. Below that is the list of meters the system has detected. If you have a meter highlighted in that lower window, then the live data coming into the computer will be displayed in the top right window. This is useful to see changes over time. Below that in the bottom right corner is a message window where the system will place any important messages about the system operation. During this scenario, the software has detected 4 AreaRAEs, 1 MultiRAE, and a RAE-Link remote. From top to bottom we have AreaRAE Unit 11, RAE-Link remote number 2, AreaRAE Unit 14, MultiRAE Unit 5 Charlie 27, and AreaRAE Unit 12, and currently offline AreaRAE Unit 13. Unit 13 had been connected, but I shut off the meter prior to filming. You can see that the oxygen reading from Unit 13 is highlighted with red. That's because the oxygen sensor is due for a bump test. Whenever you connect a meter to the software, if there are any failed sensors or sensors requiring maintenance, such as a bump test or calibration, then the program will give you an alert and highlight the sensor in red. If it's getting data, it will display it, but it's warning you that the data it's receiving may not be accurate. The rest of the meter readings can be seen by panning across the bottom menu. When we look at the MultiRAE, you can see that every so often the unit ID changes. 5 Charlie 27 stays the same, but in front of that, you will at times see a 2, 14, and even 12. That number lets you know how the data is getting back to the host. Remember, the MultiRAE requires a separate remote to transmit the data back to the host. The AreaRAE has a built-in remote. During filming, all of these meters were within 10 feet of each other, and the MultiRAE was constantly cycling through all of the remotes it had in range. That means that at times, the signal was being transmitted through the RAE-Link remote number 2, and at other times, the signal was actually going through one of the AreaRAEs. Another nice feature of the program is the ability to place our own labels on the meters. This AreaRAE is at the link near the gate on Darien Street, so I'll label this meter Darien Street Gate. This is especially useful with the MultiRAEs. It's not uncommon to have a team go downrange with more than one MultiRAE. With this program, we can assign a specific name to each meter, which will allow us to immediately figure out who is seeing what. The last thing to talk about are the ranges for transmission. When using a MultiRAE, you can be up to 300 feet away from a remote and still transmit. That distance is line of sight. Obstructions will shorten the range. The RAE-Link remotes have a 2-mile range back to the host. The AreaRAE meters also have a 2-mile range. Again, obstructions will shorten that range. If we are extending further than 2 miles, or we're trying to bypass an obstruction, such as curving our signal around a large building or up an embankment, then we can use the RAE-Link repeater to fill in the gap in the chain. The repeater also has a 2-mile range dependent on obstructions. Whether it's an all-out disaster with every meter in use, or a basic entry with one team and one MultiRAE, this program is worth placing in service. You're not trying to understand what a member in a suit is saying over radio. We can see all of our meters at once, and if we're ventilating a hazardous area, we can track the progress without having to make additional entries. There are a lot of options and much more to this system than what's just in this video. Explore it for yourself.